Powerlifting, especially at the beginning, those first 2, 3, 4 years, even five sometimes for some people, you're almost like a bodybuilder. When I started powerlifting, I hated SBD, so squat, bench, deadlift. I just hated it.
That sort of mindset or approach to the powerlifting, do you find that that helps you in other areas of your life as well?
Yeah, it's transferable. It's same thing. Same because I did university. I studied electrical engineering, um, and there are times where exam period, classic.
Yeah.
You've got 7 exams with coursework that needs to be handed. You've got one last exam you've barely prepared for. When you're first starting, your body's like
Yeah.
fresh. Honestly, you can probably do an SPD day, push your accessories, and probably turn up 2 days later and be ready to go again.
If you were to go back to the start of your journey, is there anything that you wish you knew back then about nutrition that maybe you know now that you would change? Welcome along to episode number 30. I'm Cam. I'm the host of the Lifting in Life podcast. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. I'm a personal trainer and I also work in IT. Before I get into the intro, I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for any support that you've shown so far. Reaching 30 episodes, it feels like a big deal, like feels like quite an achievement. So it's been a journey so far over the past couple of years, and it's not slowing down. Hopefully, if anything, it's speeding up. But yeah, I just wanted to take a second to thank you for any support that you have shown to the podcast so far. In terms of today's episode, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Abdul Majeed Sulayman. He's a British powerlifter. He can squat over 300 kgs, bench over 200 kgs, and deadlift almost 400 kgs. So when it comes to powerlifting, you could say that he knows a thing or two, or he's got a bit of experience. In terms of our episode, we explore quite a range of topics, actually. I get a bit of an understanding as to what it's like competing at such a high level, and we explore the pressure that comes along with that, and then also what it's like to push through when times get tough and times get challenging, which they inevitably do, and also actually how that crosses over as well. It's not just specific to powerlifting, how that crosses over into other areas of life as well. As well as those high level things, of course, we delve into some tangibles too, especially in relation to training, nutrition, and supplementation to help you get stronger and to gain strength in the gym with your lifts. And then woven throughout the episode, you'll hear a lot of talk about injury and working with injuries and advice on how to prevent them and things like that. As always, I appreciate you tuning in to the podcast, and any support you can show goes a long way, and it helps me continue getting these awesome people on. So whether that's a like, a follow, subscribe, leave a comment, whatever it is, it all helps a lot. And like I said at the beginning of the intro, any support is much appreciated. I hope you enjoy the episode, and remember, you make you. Yeah. Anyway, Abdul, we're here, we're recording, we're good to go. I appreciate you coming on, man. I've been looking forward to catching up with you, so I really appreciate you being here.
No worries. Thank you for the invite.
No worries, man. I've been following your journey for probably a solid few months now, and seeing you deadlifting and squatting over 300 kgs, it blows my mind, man. So that's why I'm pretty keen to pick your brain. Where I thought we could start is probably the most obvious, and that's obviously you're an athletic dude. You could probably excel in a bunch of different sports. So to start off with, why did you choose powerlifting, and also how did you first get introduced to it?
Okay. So I've been powerlifting for just slightly over 7 years now. But I actually started powerlifting as injury rehab. So I used to play. I played rugby for a bit when I got into sixth form, which is like college kind of level.
Hmm.
So I started playing rugby, and there was this transition from being the under 18s into I was still under 18, but they wanted to move me into the men's team. And I basically just got broken. Like it
Yeah.
was getting beamed by like grown ass men forwards who are actually quick was very, very rough.
Yeah.
So there was a period where it was after A-level exams, come out the exam hall, everyone's celebrating, running about. I jump up in the air and I strain my lower back, like just lock,
Oh.
full on muscle spasm. So I was dealing with that, was able to like, no, I didn't know rehab back then, just played rugby. You were 17, 18, kind of went to the gym lightly. But then first year of university, I just always had this problem where I couldn't sit for a long period of time. So first year of university, I was chilling, just training, mostly trying to do a little bit of CrossFit and mostly bodybuilding primarily. That was
Hmm.
my focus. And then second year, I got into the rugby playing, and I was just having issues with my lower back. It just kept on flaring up. I couldn't play games for a long period of time. Then I
Yeah.
remember seeing there's a guy in my gym who, the university gym, he was squatting 200 kilos. And I
Hmm.
was like, that's insane. That guy squats
Yeah.
200. He probably 100% doesn't have a messed up lower back. So I want to know what he's doing. And then that's
It's
how
pretty
I,
sound logic.
exactly. And that's how I got into my first squat was like, I remember barely used to squat 60, 80 kilos. And then I
Yeah.
remember like, oh, I'll get training some friends. Oh, there's this guy who does powerlifting. Let's try it. And then I remember being nervous the first time I went over 100 kilos. I was like, this is insane. Like, it's a
Hmm.
lot of weight that could break someone's neck.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I kind of just fell in love with it. I actually ended up quitting rugby after that and then just stuck with powerlifting and just kept on training powerlifting.
Damn, that's an interesting story of having an injury getting you into powerlifting. I don't think I've ever heard of
Yeah.
something like that. Did you?
Now it's funny because a lot of people kind of say, "Oh, you're always injured." I'm like, "Yeah, I started injured. I've always been broken
Starting
from
the
day
way
one."
you want to continue. Did you, with that lower back, did you ever get that looked at before you started powerlifting? Like, how did that work?
No, no, I never had that looked at. It was kind of just, hey, you strained your lower back, you broke your ankle, you patch it up, and you keep on moving.
Damn.
Um, but I never had it looked at. But I think there was a point, maybe like 3, 4 years later, and like it's just that area is even now that area is it's a lot stronger, but it's the first to get inflamed. So my lower back is getting tired a bit up in training.
Hmm.
My left lower back, like the erectus muscle, kind of
Hmm.
just bunches up and like it's slightly bigger than my right side.
Yeah.
If you actually look on my back, it's slightly bigger. So there's just trauma that's happened there that is I've gotten used to working with really.
Yeah. What do you think it's a result of? It sounds like there's like a little, like you had a little twist or like a little bend or something like
Yeah,
that.
it would have been for rugby. I remember the game. It was 100. It was like I was playing in Birmingham and
Yeah.
like I was playing as a fullback, which was a terrible idea. And then I remember getting absolutely railed by like a forward.
Yeah.
Like he just came and smashed me from behind, and like I felt my lower back go then, but it wasn't like oh it really hurts. It was kind of like I fallen on the floor very aggressively. It's sore. And then I was kind of doing some athletics on the side when I went back to sixth form again.
Hmm.
And for some reason, I think just a combination of never actually rehabbing or taking time off, even though I wasn't doing much, it was just a random chain of events. And
Yeah.
then my random jump after exams just completely tweaked it. So it's something that happened a while ago. And then it's just always been like that ever since.
Yeah.
Like when I actually tweaked it, I couldn't move. Like it was like a full on, my back was locked on the
Oh,
left
wow.
side. So I actually spent like half a day on the like because you go to the nurse bay, just half a day lying on the nurse bay, couldn't move at all, just completely spasmed and locked up. So
Far out. Having started your journey with an injury, what does injury prevention look like for you now, or the prehab kind of stuff?
injury prevention, that's an interesting one. I tell this to people because it's a tough one to understand. Even like I'm going through an injury now myself
Hmm.
again
Yeah.
that I'm rehabbing from. So it's not there's no injury prevention. It's kind of like an injury is your body telling you something is wrong, and you've been pushing aggressively in this wrong thing. So either your technique or your stance or your little muscles are not working the way you want it to. So an injury is just your body teaching you a lesson. It's kind of just saying, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Fix this area before we go further. So I always just take it as injuries are part of the process. Some people are more susceptible to injuries. Some people never have any. They're blessed. I've always been a fragile kid, even when I played rugby. I played rugby, rough sport, but I would bump my
it's
toe.
a rough sport, man.
I'll bump my toe against the door and my toe's gone. So I've always just been fragile in a weird way. And I've just understood that it's my body telling me, hey, this area is weak. We need to step back, strengthen this area before we go to the next level. So I've had a few injuries, and each time it's taken maybe 2-3 months, 5 months, a year. Like the back is always a thing, my knees always a thing. And then it's kind of like I understand. It's like my body's telling me a cue, like, hey, if I squat the wrong way, my knee hurts. And I go, okay, my technique wasn't good on that day. So what can I work on to improve that? So it's adapting with the injury as it comes and goes, basically, rather than preventing.
And I like that idea that it's kind of your body's way of telling you something. And it might be, say, if your back's sore, kind of like what you're getting at there, it might not be the case that your back's the problem. It's your ankle is rolling in or something. So it's making you twist. And then
exactly. Or your bracing was off. It's like there's a lot of things. Or it's just you getting a lower back pump. You're working really hard. So your back is telling you, hey, we worked hard. So you kind of just need to embrace that, and go, hey, my back is working a lot now. Do I need to get my hamstring stronger? Do I need to get my upper back stronger? Do I need to get my core stronger and use those other muscles to take a little bit more load from my lower back? So it's like a feedback process. Injuries are a feedback process, and it depends on how you respond to that feedback, whether it improves or you just remain with the injury.
Exactly. I was actually watching a couple of your YouTube videos recently, and I kind of wanted to get some ideas and learn a bit more about you. And one thing that you touched on, which is quite relevant to this, is you were talking about how when you go through a phase of wanting to improve your technique, it's hard to then also focus on pushing the strength, which makes sense. So can you speak to that a little bit more and how you balance improving your technique but also gaining strength at the same time?
So I treat the main movement. When I started powerlifting, I hated SBD, so squat, bench, deadlift. I just hated it. I enjoyed the sport, but like doing a heavy squat, doing a heavy bench, doing a heavy deadlift just felt awful. It was a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. Even though the weight was moving, I was like, I'm not comfortable doing this movement at all. I wasn't built to squat naturally. My hips went to do my first sumo deadlift session.
Oh, man.
So it's always been this miss and match like situation. So I've always like, whenever it comes to main movements, apart from the 3 weeks before competition or 4 weeks before competition, I'm actually training almost sub-max. So I'm training with weight that I'm comfortable with. So I don't need spotters. There's no chance of me failing this weight. And I can actually use that time to focus on my technique and try things I want to do. On top set, I'll kind of switch off and like really push, be a gym rat, push the weight. But on back downs, I'm really, really focusing. And it's not like, I'm sitting down on the side, reviewing my phone and going, this line is off or this is off. It's kind of like doing the movement. I'm thinking, hey, did I feel my quads doing that? Or, hey, was my bracing correct? Or did I enter the hole the way I want to enter? So I'm trying to do it in my body in real time. And then I can step away and go, actually, I want to try this next time. So it's kind of like just a little feedback process, but keeping the weight at a decent level where I can still work on my technique and not worry about failure or going maximal lows where everything's rounding over. And then I do my best to push accessories. So chest push machines, dumbbell rows, RDLs, belt squats, things like that. That's when I go into gym rat mode and I'm like, okay, let's just go push hard. But also thinking, hey, I want to fill in the muscle. I'm not trying to load the most weight on the machines at all. But I'm just thinking, let's push. Then
I feel like I can resonate with that mindset of, it's like a technique mindset, then just like you have to get this kind of done sort of mindset. In terms of your technique, what were some of the biggest technique flaws you had when you first started powerlifting that you had to improve?
So when I first started powerlifting, I had, it's been a long list. But for example, for my squat, I just had terrible shoulder mobility. Naturally, just my shoulders did not want to move at all. They were used to getting hit.
It was hard, like grabbing the bar.
It was hard doing low bar. It was hard actually going into a proper low bar position and maintaining that bar on my back and not rounding over when I squat. So there was a lot of upper back mobility that had to be done, just getting used to opening up my lats, my triceps, feeling what's comfortable. Like the funny thing with powerlifting is like the longer you do it, the more your body morphs into
Hmm.
being good for powerlifting. So
Yeah.
like now I remember when I started, I used to do loads of mobility drills and like trying to open this, trying to open that. And like over time, like doing heavy weight is mobility itself. Like you're
Hmm.
naturally just force your body into the position it wants to be. And sometimes that'll come with injuries because you're forcing your body into the position that where you should be strongest, but obviously you can't handle that strength yet. So you just
Hmm.
have to step back, analyze, and then go back again at it and build up the foundation again. But my upper back, my lower back was very terrible. I used to get a lot of low back pain also.
Yeah.
That's because I didn't know how to use my legs at all when I was squatting.
Mm.
So that took a while to learn how to brace, how to drive up the hole properly, which I'm even still learning to this day. I've got
Yeah.
long femurs, so squatting doesn't come naturally to me.
Yeah. How
But
how tall are you?
6'1".
Ah, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought you looked kind of, just judging by your videos, you look quite tall.
It's
But
like
yeah,
average for general population, but for
yeah,
powerlifting, it's actually tall.
yeah, man, that's real tall for powerlifting.
Yeah.
And how did you come across these kind of technique flaws that you needed to improve? Like, did you have a coach? Did you video yourself?
I've always had a coach I was
Yeah.
lucky enough to always have a coach from when I started. So I started in Newcastle University, so
Hmm.
university here in the UK. And then there was a powerlifting club there. So I was lucky enough to meet someone there, kind of just worked with him from the beginning, and we've just stayed together since the last 7 to 8 years now.
Yeah. Would you say it's quite a pivotal or important thing to have a coach when you first start?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's I'm a gym rat naturally. I'm happy. Hey, lock me in the gym, I'm fine. I don't care. I like the smell of plates.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
another level. But you need to have someone who's like holds you accountable, someone who's gonna
Hmm.
go, hey, because when I first started, like I said, 100 kg squat was insane to me.
Yeah,
So
man.
when it was like, oh, we're gonna squat 220, I was like, who's gonna squat 220? um, so it's like he's always been there to push me and go, okay, because he's always had goals higher than what I think is even possible. Like
Yeah.
even to this day, he mentions numbers. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like my knees are already damaged. Um, but it's good to have someone who holds you accountable, wants to push you, but also someone who can be like a captain to your ship. You know, someone who's willing to
Hmm.
steer you if you're having an injury, tell you, hey, it's okay to pull back because we've accounted for this. Someone who can look at your technique videos or look at your training videos and go, hey, that was too heavy at this moment. We don't want to be going that hard. Or hey, you have a lot more in you. You can push a lot harder right now.
Hmm.
So it's always good to have that second opinion there.
Yeah, it sounds like as much as he's like, pushing you to do something physical, so much of it must be quite a lot of psychological guidance, whether you're feeling good or bad coming into a competition or in a big training phase. So what does that look like in terms of the psychological guidance that he offers you? Maybe let's make it specific to you competing. What kind of role does he assume there?
So a very good example will be Europeans last year, November, December. So
Hmm.
I had come off Arnold's, not the best performance. So I was ready to push and I was pushing into the first two. Probably took the shortest rest period in between comps during that period. So I competed on like a Saturday. The next week, Saturday, I was back in the gym training,
Oof,
ready.
damn.
Two
Yep.
weeks later, I injured my back. It was mid back area between the lats and the lower back. No idea
Hmm.
what it was, but I just couldn't squat. So anytime I was going to the hole, standing up, there was like a shooting pain through my whole back into my legs. Um,
Yeah.
but we couldn't figure it out, and that took a good like actually I didn't heal from that until this year. But during that period, I couldn't squat. I remember like I went from squatting 280 for doubles to 170 for single hurting, and me having to
Oh
like go, hey,
man.
my back really hurts. And he was during that period, he was there to go. I know Europeans is coming because I was thinking, hey, I'm gonna pull out Europeans. This is insane. Like I'm broken. Like 5 weeks out, I was barely squatting 220. He was like, hey, we'll
Mhm.
figure it out. Like don't worry about it. We've got time. Take your time. Figure out your technique. We can adapt. We can evolve from this. It's just your body responding in the same way. Take your time, we'll figure it out. And I know, like 4 weeks, I ended up finding a position where I could squat that the pain
Mhm.
wasn't there. And because I kept on training consistently, even though it was only 170 or 200 in the bar, I kept training consistent during that whole period. As soon as I found the position where the pain wasn't there anymore, boom, I was able to start pushing again. And I was back to like
Mm.
270, 280, just for singles. I couldn't do any reps at all. But he was just there in that period saying, hey, it's fine. Take your time. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. until competition day, pretty much.
And that's like having the, I guess from you, the willingness to search for a solution too, and not just like give in to the despair and chuck it out.
Yeah, and during that period, there was like it's rare. Like normally, I'm the kind of person who's happy to just chuck their head against the wall until a solution comes out. But like even during that time, I was like, I'm tired of chucking my head against the wall. I'm not finding anything. And he was just there during that period because I remember there was a time I was in Edinburgh because I had to sort out some papers to fly out for Europeans, and I was like, I barely squatted 200 last week. The guys I'm competing are squatting 300. I'm injured. Everything hurts right now. Why am I even going to this competition? And he was just there on the day. I messaged him like, mate, I'm like 90% sure I'm going to drop out. Like this doesn't make any sense because I'm traveling to do all this paperwork to travel for the competition that I'm not even prepared for. I'm injured right now. And he was like, it doesn't matter. Like, hey, got enough time. Slow down, right? Don't let the moment get to you, and just take your time with it, and we'll figure it out. Just do what you can to get to that competition, but we've got more than enough time to figure out what we need to do to be at close enough to performing or competing on that day. So
yeah. That sort of mindset or approach to the powerlifting, do you find that helps you in other areas of your life as well? Is that transferable?
yeah, it is transferable. It's same thing. Because I did university. I studied electrical engineering, and there are times where exam period, classic.
Yeah.
You've got 7 exams with coursework that needs to be handed. You've got one last exam you've barely prepared for. You need to pour an all-nighter to even have 40% of the knowledge you need to even survive this exam. You're tired, you're broken, and it's just, hey, just keep working. Keep slamming your head against the wall, even if it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Whether this information goes in or not, it doesn't matter. You've sat down there and you've tried to do your best. So by the time you get to the exam hall, you're not thinking, I should have not slept yesterday. You're thinking, I stayed up to 2 a.m. There's no bloody way I'm failing this exam.
Yeah. You've done what's needed to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and do you think showing yourself that you're able to do this over and over again sort of reaffirms or builds your identity that you're someone who has the ability to push through and do the stuff when it needs to be done?
Definitely. I think it's something you probably find with a lot of people who do athletics or sports or any competitive sport. You hear from people who do martial arts or judo or basketball, whatever sports they're doing, to a high or competitive level. It's you can build confidence because everyone's young. I remember my first year of uni. I was a shy kid. I didn't necessarily know what to be confident about for myself, But when you find something that you can go, I'm terrible at this right now, but I can get better and better, and I can go, oh yeah, I got injured and I got back from that injury. You're building those little confidence points in yourself that you can slowly apply to any other section of your life. So I think it 100% always transfers over, whether it's powerlifting, running, marathon running, jiu-jitsu. You're always little things where you can set a standard and achieve that standard will help build your identity and confidence in yourself that you can apply to externals.
Yeah, man, I agree with that. And I think part of it is sort of making a plan or a goal for yourself and seeing yourself work towards that goal and not give up. When you say to yourself, okay, tomorrow I've got a squat session and I want to squat 160, and you go in there and you do the thing, it's almost like it builds a positive feedback loop of, I said to myself, I'm going to do the thing, and then I went and did it and I achieved it. That's only a micro example, but if you're like, I want to compete at my first competition in 12 weeks, and you do all the work and then you also compete, that's probably another way that it reaffirms to you that you can achieve stuff when you put your mind to it.
Yep, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
One thing you touched on there was your mechanical engineering. I'm keen to pick your brain a little bit around how you manage being in that IT corporate space and then also competing for your country in powerlifting. Those are two massive things that must demand a lot of your time. So how do you ensure you can give your best to both of those areas?
In terms of for working within IT and R&D and software, you have to, because obviously you can. So unfortunately, I probably say I'm not. There's the work rat, the guy who's going to sit and do overtime, the guy who's going to push. Yeah, there's a limit. I'm getting after squatting a 305. I'm there the next day Mate, if possible, I'll happily not be here right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
you have to realize you have responsibilities in that period. You have things you need to achieve. So you definitely try and put your best foot forward, try and update yourself, be willing, like in the workspace, always be willing to learn and take on projects you want even though you don't have the confidence or the skills for it, just say, hey, I'll do it because there's YouTube, funny enough. And now
Mhm.
even like, Chat GPT is like,
Yeah, man.
last week I was trying to go through assembly code. I have zero experience with assembly code. So I was sitting there trying to work this assembly code, get like a pseudocode version of it so I can understand what's going on. And I shove it into ChatGPT and it does it in like a minute or 30
Just
seconds.
spits it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like, hey, even whether or not I have zero confidence in assembly code, I was still willing to spend hours at work, figure it out rather than just go, hey, I have no idea, no experience with this and put it to the side.
Mhm.
Figure it out. But now that we're getting to a level where we can use external tools within our AI and things like that to
Mhm.
make us more efficient at work. So just find tools you can
Yeah.
find tools and programs and skills you can acquire that make you more efficient at work. And then also I do work and then I do gym. So I turn up to
Yeah.
work 7 a.m. I'm at work. I leave around 3 to 4 p.m. After that, I'm traveling straight to the gym and it's literally just trying to separate two worlds. So work is done, gym, 2 hours, and I'm doing my best not to, because sometimes I go to the gym and I'm not the most social person because I know, hey, I've got two
Yeah.
hours. Like I've been up since 6 a.m. in the morning. It's 6 p.m. in the night right now. I have zero time to have a friendly conversation
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get enough time to like go home, cook food, and then sleep. So it's kind of like you need to
Yeah,
be
man.
just the same way at work, do what you can do, and then once you get to the gym, try and do all the work you need to do in the shortest amount of time possible. So I like to do supersets with my accessories, for example, to get them out of the way quickly, and then head home, do your best to recover, do your best to prepare for the next day, and then you go again 5 times a week,
Mm.
365 times a
Yeah.
year. And then whenever you get a holiday, you can
Yeah,
rest.
yeah. And what is the preparation there throughout your week to minimize the amount of sort of wasted time? Like, are you prepping your meals in advance or like getting your stuff ready the night before? What's the ins and outs of that look like?
It's just doing as much as possible. So like doing your meals the day before, buying the things you need to do that can like. So I never eat out. Like I never go to Tesco. Everything's always prepped with. I'm making some rice or some sauce. I'll make excess so I can always pack it. Um, Also, it's kind of like what else can I think of? Trying to minimize travel time. Unfortunately, I don't drive, but it is what it is. I always try and plan my journeys ahead so I know, hey, I can finish work at this time, be on the bus at this time, be
Mm,
in the gym at this time, and be on my way back home. Um, what else could you do? I think is also doing your best not to waste your time on things you don't need. For example, so if I'm in the gym, I'm not going to waste a lot of time just having general conversation because
mm,
I know if I stay here till 9 p.m., I won't get home in time to sleep, and then that will affect my work. And then if work is delayed, that affects my gym session the next day. And then also
mm,
while I'm at work, it's kind of I'm trying to do the all the projects I need to do. So if I have a deadline that needs to be done, I'll happily come in on a Sunday to do it or Saturday after training. But it's just taking those extra variables, but doing those extra things on the day so that it doesn't affect you in the future. So
yeah.
there's not like this knock-off effect of, hey, you messed up today, tomorrow is not worse, the next day is not worse, things like that.
Yeah, it's like recognizing or taking that proactive approach, eh? Because if you don't prep the meals the night before, then or you're going to skip lunch, and then your session's probably going to be worse, and then like it just sort of has a snowball negative impact on everything that you're trying to achieve there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of maybe some tangibles for some people who are listening and they're wanting to get strong, maybe even as strong as you if that's possible. What are some things that people do wrong when they first start trying to build strength?
Okay. I think one thing might be because strength training has this stereotype of, hey, even a powerlifter has a stereotype of, you turn up to the gym with your Haribo's and a comfortable chair and a like a water flask, and you're just
Yeah.
there. You do your one set, you sit down on the side, you have a good conversation, and then you do your next set, and
Yeah.
then 2 hours in, you've done 5 sets of squats.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people love that because compared to bodybuilding or sports, it's go, 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 go. With powerlifting, that you can like chill, take your time, feel more comfortable in your space. It's more of it can be a social thing even.
Hmm.
But it doesn't. I feel like some powerlifting, especially at the beginning, those first 2, 3, 4 years, even five sometimes for some people, you're almost like a bodybuilder.
Hmm.
So what you want to do is you want to time things. You want to get working. So I'm not here saying don't have conversations. I'm like, hey, I have conversations after or in between sets. Like I'll have a quick 1 minute conversation,
Yeah,
and then I'll
yeah.
have. So one thing I like to do, I've always done is I've always had a timer on my phone.
Oh,
So
nice.
whenever I'm working out, I have a 20-minute timer. 20 minutes for warming up, And then if I do my squats, I do a set, I do two sets, I walk up to my top set, 3 minutes rest normally in between. And then I always have a timer for my back downs because that's where
Hmm.
people tend to waste time doing back downs. You've done your top set, you're tired. And now you have this 4x5 you need to work through. So I just put 3 minute timer. So once
Hmm.
I'm done my top set, do my back down first, back down set, 3 minute timer. Once that timer goes off, I'm getting back under the bar. So that's one way to save time. And then also it just keeps you working, develops that work capacity. And then when it comes to accessories, push your accessories. A lot of people get into strength training and just focus on the heavy stuff. But the fluff work, the accessories, the bodybuilding stuff, that's your foundation, that's your bread and butter.
Hmm.
If you have this amount of muscle mass, you can only lift this amount of weight. The more muscle mass you acquire, the more weight you can like lift. So you need to build that foundation. You need to put on muscle. You need to basically be a bodybuilder in the
Yeah.
background while you're also pushing your top bench.
And for people who maybe don't know what accessories means, what would be some of the most common accessory movements that you would do?
So if I was going to give an example, so for like an upper body, see if I was going to go to the gym and I was going to train chest, so I was going to do some bench. So I'll go into the gym and I'll do, let's say, 4 sets of 5 with a fixed weight. You know, I'm going to try and do that within 30 to 40 minutes.
Hmm.
If you're benching lighter, 30 minutes. And then for the next 30 to 40 minutes, it's going to be chest push machine, like just a seated chest push machine. I'm going to do some incline dumbbell work. I'm going to do some back rows, preferably because you want to work on that stability. So while we're working on pushing forward, we also want to work on the opposite way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Strengthen those muscles, the rotator cuff, little things like that. I might even do some biceps, some triceps, and some shoulder work. So I've done about maybe 4 or 5 accessories after just doing the bench work.
Yeah.
And I can keep on pushing bench. Yes, my technique will get a lot better, but the amount of muscle mass I'm going to acquire from doing those 5 to 4 accessories over the next 2 to 3, 5, 6 months will carry over long term. So I won't see the benefit straight away in January, but by the time I get to July, August, I'm going to start seeing, hey, the last 5 to 6 months I've been pushing my accessories. I'm starting to see my bench increase. Even though the technique has improved, my muscle mass has also
Mm.
improved. So I can lift a lot
Yeah.
more weight.
And because your set structure obviously for your big lifts would change over time depending on where you're at coming up to competition. Does your set structure for your sets and rep structure for your accessories change much, or is that stable?
I think that's always fairly stable. I'm learning to push accessories to push the weight in
Yeah.
accessories because sometimes it can start to take easy. An RP8 accessory is like, hey, I failed it, but if you give me 10 seconds, I can do two
Mhm.
more reps. That's why I call it
Yeah.
RP8 on accessories. RP8 on squat, bench, and deadlift is completely different from RP8 on accessories. So you want to learn how to push your
Mm.
accessories. But that structure is always the same. It's always like for me, it's always been 10 to 15 reps for my accessories, whatever I'm doing. Um, Try and go heavy, slowly progress it. So I could do 40, for example, incline dumbbells. I've been doing 40 kilos for about three
Mhm.
weeks because that's felt like an RP8 for me. And then I've pushed myself to do 42s. So it's whatever feels comfortable. I'm not trying to actively overreach, but I'm trying to push myself after hour. So you train, get to a comfortable level, and once you realize, hey, I've gone to this comfortable level, it's the fourth, fifth week of me doing the same weight. Bump it by 2 kilos.
Mm.
It will be harder, but your body will adapt to it.
Yeah, and that scale where it's like an RPE scale, there's a few different ones, or like reps in reserve. Would you say that
Yes.
is quite an important thing for people to implement early on in their powerlifting journey, or is that something that's sort of maybe more complex that you would add in later?
I'll probably say maybe add in later
Yeah,
because when you're first starting, your body's like
yeah.
fresh. Honestly, you can probably do an SPD day, push your accessories, and probably turn up 2 days later and be ready to go
Mm.
again. So I'll probably say you really want to RP probably is good because you want to have a scale to how much you should push, but I wouldn't say for the main movements like the squat, bench, and deadlift, you don't want to start pushing to an 8, 9, or 10. You want to keep it around the 7 because you're improving technique. Your body's trying this new sport, with heavy weights. You don't want to start pushing so hard that you get injured and then now you're taking time off. You want to keep it sub-max, basically around the 7.
Hmm.
But for accessories, you really want to start getting a feel for what a 8, 9, 10, what it feels like to really push. And it's similar to like, you could say it's important, it's not important. I think sometimes it can confuse someone who's starting. So I'll just say, hey, go easy on the squat, bench, and deadlift movements. Comfortable, add weight slowly over the weeks. And then for your accessories, just go all out, like fail. Like I want you to actually fail on the machine
Hmm.
because you don't actually know what it feels like to go to true exhaustions. Because I could take a newbie, for example, and tell it's even when I do dumbbell curls or anything, I know because I've been training for years, I know how to exhaust the muscle very quickly. So if I did the bicep curl, my bicep is working, even though it's just 14 kilos. By the time I've done 8 reps, 10 reps, boom, they're exhausted because I know how to really keep the tension there. If you
Yeah.
gave a 14-kilo dumbbell to a newbie, their whole body's doing the movement. They'll tell you,
Swinging it.
exact. I can feel my shoulders. Or I've had someone tell I could feel my back when I was doing the biceps. I'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, So it takes a time, but I really want people to learn how to go to that end range so they can feel the muscle and actually know what they're supposed to be training.
Yeah, and you're so right. It's about establishing that baseline, I guess, right? Like you can't say to someone do an RPE 8 on a squat and they don't even
They've
know what
got
their
no
max
idea what that
squat
is.
is. Yeah. No, that
Just
makes
yeah.
sense. And let's say if you were to go back to the start of your journey and you look at your nutrition, is there anything that you wish you knew back then about nutrition that maybe you know now that you would change?
I did know things about nutrition, but I was a broke university student. That's the best
Yeah.
way to put it. So that even if I knew what everyone knows now with protein intake and
You
carbs
can
intake,
only do so much.
I'm like, mate, like this is all I can afford this week.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll probably say nutrition is key, definitely for a lot of people, and it's something that's becoming very, very important. People are aware of it, what your pre-workout meal is supposed to be, post-workout, carb, fat levels, things like that, vitamin B12, supplementation, and things like that. But I also say you don't. There's the beauty of just being a gym rat, just being an old school bodybuilder, where they didn't care about how much protein you
Yeah.
took or what. It was just come to the gym, be reasonable. You're not a bodybuilder because you're not just going to go in and start doing dumbbell presses to 12, 15,
Yeah.
30 reps first session. You're going to do SPD stuff. So be the smart powerlifters are smarter bodybuilders. Yeah, a lot of us are actually university graduates or whatnot.
Yep.
So be technical, do your squat, bench, deadlift, calculate your variables or whatever your coach has told you, analyze your technique, try and be more efficient in your movement patterns, and then just go all out. Doesn't matter whether I've
Mm.
eaten lunch or not had dinner, especially when you first started. Ideally, if you can, nail your sleep, nail your food in, your progress will be a lot quicker. But don't let that be a crutch where you're like, I haven't eaten lunch, I'm not gonna go to the gym, or I haven't eaten lunch. My SPD stuff was terrible because I haven't eaten lunch, but now I'm gonna go sub max on my accessories. When I
Yeah.
was younger, I just pushed accessories all the time,
Hmm.
whether eating or whether not eating or whether it was 6 a.m. in the morning or 11 p.m. in the night, didn't matter. Just push as hard as you can, and then nailing your sleep is always going to be the most important thing. After everything, sleep is probably first. The more sleep you get, the better your recovery will be. And then just making sure you're eating right, not overeating. You don't need to eat 5,000 calories or 4,000 calories when you've just started. If you were just eating 1,000, 2,000 before, find a decent baseline, do the work. Normally, the harder you work in the gym, the more muscle mass you put. Your body will naturally tell you, hey, we need more food. If you work really hard in the gym, by the time you step out, your body's like, yeah, we need carbs, we need protein. Give us the food right now. So
Hmm.
your body will tell you naturally what you need to do. Be reasonable with it. Supplement where you can, what you can afford. Your basics like creatine, protein powders, if you can, vitamin D's, vitamin B12s for energy levels, hydration, water, but simple things really that you can focus on. Those come in at a certain level, but I always believe some people tell you nutrition is first. I kind of believe, hey, that work ethic comes first, and then the
Yep.
nutrition is that cherry on the top that
Yeah.
really speeds up the progress later on.
And you're not going to gain muscle or strength just by eating well. You got to be putting in
Exactly.
that work.
Yeah, because I've seen people in the gym, like when I remember when I was like 2, 3 years in, they have all the fancy pre-workout, BCAs, they're having steak for dinner. But when they get to the gym, they're like doing 2 sets and sitting on the side. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is more important at this point?
But I can get that. Like sometimes people are just so excited to get the nicest, fanciest stuff for this new interest that they got into, but then they're not actually doing that thing very well. So like you could get away with just eating some chicken and rice at first. You probably make better results, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. When so my little bit of experience when it comes to lifting heavy weights in comparison to you, they're nothing. But how do you find exploring, because obviously it's a physical thing, like the muscles, it's obviously all muscular, but so much of it is about the central nervous system and priming that so it can sort of make the muscles contract. So what's your view on that versus like the central nervous system versus it just being a muscular thing? And does that kind of tie into your training, maybe, I don't know, warm-up sets or anything like that?
Oh no, definitely. And it's always warm up properly, especially if you're gonna go heavy. Because
Mm,
it'll be a shock to your CNS if you just go for
mm,
nothing to 150 straight away. Like your body will be like, whoa, what's
mm,
going on? But CNS fatigue is real. But I
mm,
tend to think a lot of people more you find it when you've been training for longer period of time than if you're starting to training that heavy. It takes a while to get used to it, especially when you run your
yeah.
first peak, your second, your third peak. Those 6, 5 weeks will be tough because you're doing something in your body you haven't done before. Your body's not built to squat over 100 kilos. We're not even supposed to be lifting this much weight in the first place. So your body will be fatigued, and that'll probably be CNS fatigue. So there's a difference between muscle fatigue and CNS fatigue. Muscle is like, hey, if I did 20 sets of arms and I can't lift my arms anymore, that's muscle fatigue because I've exhausted them. But if I lifted 300 kilos for a single rep 3 times a week, I'll be dead. Like I can't walk, stand out of bed. Not because my muscles are tired. It's just hey, my body's exhausted. It's just firing everything at once. But I think that takes a time because you also need that. You need to become used to it because as you get
Mm.
stronger, you need to be comfortable lifting more weight also. So but that will come naturally. I'll just say don't force it. That's the thing that comes with time in the sport. The longer
Mm.
you do it, the more you adapt to it. But yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, and what does, maybe getting to the specifics a little bit, what do your warm-up sets look like? Let's go for an example of, I don't know, you wanted to do a double whip 300
Mm.
to make the numbers easy. What would a warm-up set structure look like for you to work up to that weight?
Okay. So I'll go into the point because I've been doing this for like a long time. I normally just jump in reds. So
Yeah.
I'll do about 20 minutes of warm-ups, mobility, make sure everything feels fine, and I always start with the bar. Always start with bar for everything. So even when I'm doing my accessories, I always start with a lighter weight first, and then I go to the actual weight I want to go for. So for squats, I'll go 70, 120, 170, 220. And then from there, it depends. I might go maybe 250, 260. If that
Hmm.
feels good, I might take a big jump. That's unlikely. I might do a smaller jump and do 280, 300. So it kind of mostly it's like 10 before your final set you want to do like a maximum 10 to 20 kilo jump. 10 to 15 is more reasonable really, so 10 to 15
Hmm.
before your top set, and then just before then you want to feel good. It's not like it's not a CrossFit workout. You're trying to get to that top set and feel as ready as possible, so you don't need to be doing 10 reps with the bar. It's just, hey, I've done the bar, feels good. Go on to 70 kilos. I've done the bar. I might do another rep, feels good. Go to the next one. I've done one rep, felt good, nothing hurt. Go to the next one and slowly progress like that. The top set is always your
Hmm.
priority. If you have a double or top single, that's your primary focus. So every single warm up set is just to make you feel better. It's not to exhaust you or anything. And then after you've done the top set, then you can really key in on pushing for the reps and everything and doing that grunt work to help you later on.
Yeah, man, that's really sound advice. Because one thing I noticed, I was a personal trainer for a few years in a gym, and people would say, I don't know, work up to 20 kg dumbbell press, but they would do 8 kgs for like 15 reps, then
Yeah.
10 kgs for 12 reps. And it's about sort of coaching that mindset of you want to prime your body and your central nervous system for the weight without taking away from that top set,
Yeah, you
right?
don't want to build. You're just
Yeah.
priming your body. You don't want muscle exhaustion to start saying it. You don't want fatigue to start saying it before you hit your top set. You just want to feel good. Start getting everything feeling warm, feeling ready for the top set. And once you've done that, then you can do the hard work of high rep work afterwards.
hmm hmm Bringing it back to you as an athlete, one thing I'm interested to learn a bit more about is the mindset that you have for your training lifts versus you stepping on the big stage with people yelling and screaming at you on that competition stage. So, how does that mindset shift between you just doing your work in the gym versus you stepping on that big stage?
So I'll say this has changed recently. When I first started, it was just fun because I when I started powerlifting, there was no, oh, I want to have this record or I want to be first or anything. It was kind of like, hey, I've trained, now I'm just gonna have fun and see what happens on the day. And that's the way it was until like let's say 2 to 3 years where I've really gotten to that level where I'm now competitive. And then now training is you have to isolate training from competition day. So with training, they are like I remember when I first started, I used to be so tied in. Like if I had a big deadlift session, 2 days I'll be thinking of that big deadlift session. I've got a number in my head. I'm thinking of the even in university lessons, I'm just thinking I'm gonna deadlift 290. That's a lot of weight. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
deadlift 290. Hopefully it doesn't go well. Once I do 290, I'll do this after. And like as I've gotten older in the sport, I've started learning how to detach myself from the numbers and just go training-ish training, training is to prime my body
Mm-hmm.
for competition day. And almost like if I have any issue doing training, if I have any bad days, if I have good days, it's all data points I can use to build my confidence for competition day. So by the time I step on that platform, I'm not going, oh, I squatted 320, I should be good. I'm going like, I squatted 300 on a terrible day where like life really fucked me over. So I'm good. Like I've been in the hole. This is play time. Like I've slept comfortably the last few days. I should be good. So it's like building that confidence point for competition day. So I think I tell a lot of people like training is just training. But that depends on the level you're at. Some people, especially when you start, it's a new sport, you're super excited about everything. You're tied in with the numbers. You want the numbers to be there. But the longer you do it for, the more you realize, especially when if you want to compete at a certain sport or event, you're just trying to rack up good days. So if you have a bad training day, it doesn't matter. It's just data points for you to know
Mm.
if this was a bad training day, I didn't leave the gym, I didn't kick a fuss, I stuck through the bad training day. And I know by the time I get to competition, I'll be a lot rested and I wouldn't have the externals affecting me now on that day, hopefully. So it should go a lot better.
I feel like people could resonate with that a lot. Maybe not just in terms of powerlifting, but you can apply that to almost anything. Like, I didn't do this thing well at work. It's hard not to attach yourself or your self-worth to the outputs, let's say, to make it bigger. So what was it that changed in your mindset, or did you do anything in particular to help yourself detach from those
I
results?
think I just had to stop because I started noticing that I was getting too emotionally attached to the weight sometimes. So sometimes I'll
Mm,
load something on a bar that wasn't there. Like, because I'd been thinking about a 300 kg deadlift for the last 2 3 days. I'm warming up and it doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't feel
mm,
good, but for the last 3 days, I've been thinking of this number only. So 100% I'm going to put on the bar and I fail it. And I know why I failed it because I've been thinking about it and I overshot. And it's also just taxing sometimes, like
Yep.
thinking about training. So, like I said, work is work, training is training. When I'm outside the gym, I don't think about the gym. I can analyze my
Yep.
lifts. I can watch my training with an outside perspective because I'm going, hey, what can I work on to improve next time? But I'm not sat down there thinking, oh, that 300 was terrible. That 300 is terrible. I'm thinking,
Mm,
I've gone through the phase of thinking. I'll think once or twice. That 300 was terrible. What can I do next time to make it a lot better? Hey, what broke down my technique? I'm probably going to drop the weight next week. I'll probably spend a day to doing that. And then, boom, nothing thinking about training until the next time I step in the gym again. So you need to isolate unless it'll just fatigue you a lot. You'll
mm,
probably experience burnout because a lot of people who talk about burning out in power. I've never gone to the phase of because I've gotten injured. Even now, when I was injured, I started from the bottom again. I never had a phase of, oh, I don't want to go to the gym or I'm tired with powerlifting because I always isolate both of them. Because as soon as I'm done with the gym, I'm done. That's it. I'm at work now. I think about work, or I'm at home. I think about being at home. And then when I step into the gym, I face those problems I'm dealing with again. I do whatever rehab work I can do. Once I step out of there, boom, that's it. It's all done. No thinking about the gym again.
Mm,
Focus on everything I need to focus on the outside. I can still watch technique videos. I can still watch my training videos to see what I can improve for next time. But it's not in an obsessive manner where I'm allowing it to drag me or beat me down. Just thinking
yeah.
about
It
what
seems
happened.
like that approach reduces your sort of cognitive load or your mental fatigue as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could imagine if you had a bad deadlift session, it would be so hard not to just constantly be repeating it in your head and wondering, oh, what could I do better? Do I have the ability to even be able to do this? Sort of making it bigger than what it needs to be per se.
Yeah, exactly. It's like once if I have a bad, I'm not a robot. It's a terrible
Yeah,
daily session. Hey, by the time I get home, I'll probably be a bit grumpy. But I
yeah,
quickly realized that and just start to isolate it and just go,
mm,
let's not worry about it. And also sometimes when you watch, because I've noticed this actually now a lot more over the last few years, is when you look at your training in the gym after you do it. So if you squat and you look at the video in the gym, it might look bad. You might go, ugh, that didn't move well. And then 2 days later, if you look at that same footage, right, you go, oh, it wasn't so bad, you know? So
yeah.
sometimes you do need that time to isolate. So especially when I have a bad session, I just go, boom, just lock it off. And then 2 days later, I'll look at the video and go, huh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. What can I take away
It's
from
like,
this and go forward?
yeah, when you review it with less of an emotional kind of view, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you progressed through your powerlifting journey and started to see some success in competitions, what was the element of pressure like for you in terms of maybe, social media and stuff, but like when you took that platform after previously doing well, how did that affect your psyche?
It's interesting because so it's like my last three competitions actually, it's a good question because my last three competitions there has been a drop in my total, and
Hmm.
it's been a combination of injuries, but also reaching for podium position. So before I was coming in, and I was just, oh, I'll be happy to do third, and then I do what I need to do, and if there's a chance to pull for third, I pull for third. Now it's, oh, the guy's coming in for third, so I need to do this, this, and this, and then potentially pull
Yeah.
for second. I need to do this. So, because I did 897.5 in South Africa last year, and then I'd gone from an
Hmm.
897.5 to an 890, then to an 895, and then to an 880. So it's kind of just, it's
Hmm.
not, I've really not made much progress from last year if you look at it. But I know in training I have made progress. Um, so
Hmm.
there is pressure, and I think that's part of the sport. Some people say it's a luxury to feel the pressure. It's like it's, hey,
Yeah.
be happy that you're in a position where you can
Yeah.
feel this kind of pressure.
I saw you share a picture of Chris Bumstead on your story, and he's the one who says pressure is privilege, right?
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
Chris Bumstead.
yeah,
He's just a stacked dude. That's it.
yeah, bro. Hard up.
um, but I think it's just part of sports, really. Some people like
Mm,
it, some people don't like it. I don't mind it, but you also need to not let it overtake you. Because like even for now, for example, I've had four competitions now. Out of those four, three of them I wasn't happy with my performance, and I've gotten to the stage where I'm like, okay, I enjoy competing, but I also want to enjoy doing this because I enjoy going to the gym. I don't want to be the
yeah,
guy who's like bummed out or like, oh, I'm not making any progress. So I want to be like, even now I'm doing a competition where I'm just training, you know, because I have an injury. I'm just going to train, see what happens, go stage by stage. If I reach a level where, hey, this is potentially going to take me back a few months, I'm going to step away and go, hey, I'm not going to do this competition. But also, if training goes good, I'm just going to go in there, have fun, not worry about anything, not worry about this or that. It's literally just one competition to have fun, feel like my old self again, and then we go back into competition pool where we're trying to challenge for podium or spots or things like that. But the pressure, the discomfort, the unhappiness with training, when you're competing in a high level, it all happens because you want something and 100 other people want the same thing you want. So there's no
hmm
way everyone's gonna come out of there feeling happy. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, not everyone can win on the day, right? Even though
Exactly.
everyone
Yeah.
wants to win on
Exactly.
the day. One thing, delving more into the pressure side of things, I assume it's pressure. Anyway, I was watching one of your YouTube videos, and you talked about how when you get, injured or you're not feeling it, you kind of go ghost mode on socials.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you find the pressure of social media and putting up content and that kind of stuff? Does it add a sense of pressure to perform well and to always be strong? And how do you deal with that element of it?
That's interesting because I kind of just post. I used to always only just post doing prep, like, and YouTube was my way of showing, like, oh, this is what's happening now and here. And then
Mhm.
I've always felt like I didn't really show the full process because the thing is, social media is like, hey, this is the good stuff, you know?
The
I
highlight
deadlifted,
reel.
exactly. I deadlifted 330. Here it is. Look at how amazing I
Yeah.
am. You know, you wouldn't show the week where you pulled 290 and you felt terrible. So social media can definitely make you want to overreach, especially when you can see especially during that competition period. Like I've definitely had two
Mhm.
or three sessions where I've seen my competitor do a 320 squat and I've gone, there's no way I'm not squatting 320 today, you know? So it can influence you
Yep.
in that way. And you need to be aware of the influence because that's what's meant to do. It's meant to influence you. That's why they're called influencers, you know. So
Mhm.
everyone's potentially going to
Mhm.
influence your training. So you need to be aware of the effect it can have, and it can be positive, it can be negative. Because if I see my competitor doing a 320 squat, I can go, I need to work really, really hard, you know. And one of the best preps I had
Yep.
was looking at someone like Ashton Ruska, for example, who's a 105, and going, I want to catch that guy and I'm going to push myself this prep. I'm going to go really, really hard. And I did. And my squat went up like crazy because I was coming into that session. And because into every session, just wanting blood, like going, I want to catch these guys. I want to catch these guys. But that can be very interesting because that's hard to maintain. So if you're gonna just be wanting to
Mhm.
chase people on social media, thinking, "Oh, this person, yeah, I want to catch up to that person," when you don't get the goals that you wanted to get, or if you find yourself a lot further away from that goal than you thought you were gonna be, it can have a very big backlash effect. So you have to be sensible with it. Some people can ride that wave and be okay. But I feel like a majority of people probably find, especially if you don't perform as well as you want to perform, will probably find it's not worth it. What's probably a better wave to be on is just focusing on yourself, and just trying to be better than
Mm.
yesterday. But that's not to say that there isn't the benefit of chasing other people and going, I want to be better than that person, and using that motivation to push yourself. So you have to find your happy medium, or maybe you just have to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Yeah, it must be hard to find that balance because, as you said, it's a highlight reel. Like that person who puts up a squat of 320, you don't see that next week. Oh, they actually tweaked their ankle and they're not actually squatting. But then 3 weeks later, you see they're squatting 330. And you're like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Like now they're squatting 330. So, is there any specific things that you do to try and like just use that social media as motivation and not get too sucked into it? Like, do you,
Mm.
I don't know, restrict your time on it or who you follow or like anything like that?
I do try and restrict my time, but also especially for like powerlifting, I try and use social media as a less of a highlight reel and more of like a technical feedback. So I like
Yeah.
watching people. So if for example, someone like Anatoly squatted or Ashton Ruska squatted, you know, or
Yeah.
they posted an amazing bench set, I rather than me going, oh, that's a lot of weight. How far am I? That's like ages away from where I am right now. I'll kind of look at like Rondo Hunt, for example, or 120, you know, squats 350, 37, 380. Looks amazing. But I kind of look, oh, his squat technique is amazing. Like the way he maintains the
Mm.
tension in the squats is really good. I look at my squat, oh, I'm a bit unstable when I go into the hole. How can I improve that? Because if he's squatting that way, maintaining tension, maybe that's something I can implement my training. And then whenever I go on social media, it's kind of like I look at people to go, what can I take away from this rather than just watching and
Yeah.
liking this? Can I learn anything from this piece of content? If not, scroll, keep it moving.
Yeah,
But
man.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
just use it as a learning place because there are a lot of strong people on social media, and a lot of them have little things they do that make them unique and probably make them a lot stronger. And like if you can identify those little things and take it away. So you're not just scrolling and watching, but you're actually learning and maybe taking information you can implement in your own training, you know, then I can kind of go, hey, I'm learning and I'm benefiting from this, and I'm not just sat down there comparing myself against another person. So, for example, I watch Rondo Hunt, and
Yeah.
I look at the accessories he does, I look at the way he squats, the way he benches, and I go, oh, he does this, he does that. I want to try that next week. I'm going to take that away rather than sit down there going, fuck, he's strong as hell. Is he cheating? Is that magic shit?
What's the shortcut?
What's the shortcut? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like try and make it like a learning thing rather.
Yeah, I love that idea. And it's almost an analogy outside of social media too. It's always when you're interacting with someone, try to think, how can I learn something from this person? They might actually have something for me instead of like either just disregarding it or like getting angry, like, oh, why is this guy stronger than me? That's not fair.
Mm,
Why is the world so unfair?
yeah.
And when you do look at these guys and maybe you see what exercises they're doing or how they structure their plan, how can you determine whether or not what they do is actually applicable to you?
I just try it. It's probably one of the most annoying things with my coach. I've always been like that from day one, where I'll be like, oh, I want to try this now.
Yeah,
He'll be like, why? Like, "Man, I swear something, I just want to try it. It's like it's not this, so I'm not gonna change my training for the day.
yeah.
So for example, if I saw like a good accessory I saw someone doing, I'm like, oh, I want to try that. I'll do the work on the program. I'll do everything that was stated to be done on the day. I'm not gonna change anything there, and then I'll take my own extra work and go, I want to try this now.
Mhm.
So if there was like, for example, like a technique change I wanted to implement, I probably wouldn't do it on my primary squat day because that's my primary squat day. But my secondary squat day, I'll go, I can try this doing my warm-ups and see how it feels,
Mm.
and the impact is not going to be as bad. And I feel like I'm probably a very neurotic person when it comes to training, and I tend to analyze. So I'm like Beauty and the Beast. Sometimes I'm there sat down, being a princess, analyzing everything, thinking, can I feel my forearms the way I want to feel it when I'm benching? Am my pecs feeling correct? And sometimes I know how to just be a beast and just go, yeah, 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 push, push, push,
Yeah.
kind of without worrying. And I think it's not a bad thing to have both of them. So it's not a bad thing to want to be a technical person and want to investigate, try things, experiment, because eventually it's like powerlifting. Yes, you can be a grunt and just put the work in, but I feel like the people who probably stride the most are those people who are like a bit neurotic on that
Yeah.
side, who are willing to go, this is good, but can you be better?
Yeah.
But without canceling the work that needs to be done. It's not, can you be better and I'm going to change my whole program and not do what I was supposed to do on the day, but can you be better and I'll experiment after I've done the work. Now, this is either extra work, which I need to take that personal responsibility. I'm going to induce more fatigue, so I need to be smart about it, but also, be willing to play around because you've got a long time in this sport. Find what works for you, and then hopefully you can get stronger that way.
I like that analogy of the Beauty and the Beast. I rate that. I could imagine that only being the beast that could only get you so far, right? Your ceiling is going to be a lot shorter if you don't take that more analytical mindset of, how could I improve by 1% or how could I improve
Exactly.
in this area? Yeah.
Yeah, it plays a huge feedback. It's like I've people take the piss out of me, but I've got like 10 different squatting shoes because I'm willing to go, hey, this is good, but it's not perfect. Because I can look, if I look at someone's squat and I go, it's not that, hey, I'm very well aware of the fact that I have different leverages to the person. Squatting might come naturally for them, squatting won't come naturally for me. But it doesn't mean I can't improve. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that my stability can be better. It doesn't mean my bar path can be better. So if I can do anything to improve that area that I believe is holding me back, for example, was my stability going into the squat and pushing out, being able to stay on my quads, right? Something we've been working on. I'm not gonna sit down and use the same squat shoes and try and brute force my way through it and just hope that, hey, I'm gonna keep on doing the same thing over and over again and eventually the progress is gonna come. I'm gonna go, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. Engineering, we tinker around until we find what works.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the system is good. If you can make it better, tinker around and make it better. So I'm happy to try another squat shoe. And if the squat shoe is not the problem, I'm happy to try different stands. Just even when I get injured, that's one thing that probably helps me the most. Like I'm injured right now, my hip is messed up. I've been doing like some bursitis, like trochanter pain, something around the TFL glute mid area. I can barely do a squat lunge. Like if you told me to do a squat lunge right now, it would hurt. But I can squat
Yeah.
300, and that's not because I'm brute forcing my way through it. It's I've learned my hip hurts right now. How can I change my technique to avoid that area that hurts? What am I doing that's irritating that area? What am I doing that doesn't irritate that area? Okay, cool. I figured that out. I figured the squat stance that works. Can I push this? Can I increase the load on it? Yeah, I can. Okay, good. Let's keep on progressing while we do the rehab for the hip on the side. So if you ask me to do a split lunge, can't do it. I can't dumbbell lunge 10 kilos. If you ask me to squat 300, I know how to get my body in the right position that I can lift that weight without hurting the hip. So that's just the way I work.
Yeah, that going back to you having like 10 pairs of squat shoes, I feel like
Yeah.
when you're at your level, something like that makes so much sense, because when you're like really pushing so close to your ceiling, something like a little heel raise angle, maybe that's going to be the difference between 310 or 320. But then like what you were talking about a while ago with the beginners getting all the best sups and all that kind of stuff, but not putting in the work.
You don't need to focus on that right now. You need muscle mass.
Yeah. Like if you went back to the start of your journey where you talk about you were squatting 100 kgs, look, you're squatting 200 kilos more than that, and that doesn't come from a slight change in a squat shoe. That comes from consistently working hard.
Yeah, that's going to be Bulgarian split squats, getting those legs bigger.
Exactly, man. Well, one thing I've been learning more about from various podcasts about people who are really successful at their craft is you hear a lot, say like someone like Goggins. He's always saying like you got to work hard, and that's discipline. But whereas the reverse, I feel, is true for people who already work hard, and this might resonate with you. Do you find for you it takes a lot of discipline, not actually to do the work, but actually to rest when you need to rest?
Yeah, that's the thing. So like, I have the work ethic thin down. Like I can just turn up to the gym whether I feel good or not good. Some people don't have that. A lot of people have gone. If you find yourself powerlifting consistently, you're turning up to the gym regularly. You have that. You know how to turn up. But then now you need to be able to keep yourself accountable for the extras. So it's coming home, making sure you're eating. It's coming home, making sure you're stretching. It's coming home, making sure you're trying to optimize your recovery as much as possible. And that's a different discipline. It's like that's why it's always funny, because sometimes I watch all this YouTube reels and like videos and like, yeah, if you're jacked, you're a disciplined person. I'm like, not really. Because you can just take a bunch of drugs also and just be jacked. But it's like there's the whole component. There's been discipline in the gym, there's been discipline outside the gym, there's been discipline at work, there's been discipline with your nutrition, there's been discipline with your communication. They're multiple components that come together to make you a better athlete, and you need to identify that. So yeah, do all the work in the gym. If you're pushing there, good, you're a star on that little section. Now you need to start focusing on your recovery, your mobility, your little this and that, your communication with your coach, your nutrition. If you need to access your nutrition to help look at your diet, those little facets will then now start complementing your work ethic in the gym. Because you can't, if the car is broken, you can't drive it. It can be the best car, it can be the strongest car, but if it's broken, there's nothing that's going to happen with it.
But to continue the analogy, it's driving the car really fast that's fun, right? It's not the changing the oil or changing the waters or the fluids or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So how do you incorporate those elements of rest sort of into your plan, the stretching or the mobility or the work like that? What does that look like for you?
Funny enough, your body will tell you when you need to do it, and that's when you get injured. And that's always the best reminder you always get. So it is bound to happen. When you're healthy, you will drop in these areas because you feel good. You've squatted, you feel okay. And when everything hurts, you remember to do your stretches. But you just have to put into your routine. Like I buy like TENS unit, massage balls, massage guns, heated pads, anything I can do to make that recovery process easier. Try and go to a sauna whenever I can during the week. And I think it's vitamin D, B12, little things like that where I can go, okay, I'm getting to a certain level where I know I'm training, but I'm not recovering enough from my training, And your body will tell you that. You definitely know it. But you need to, the same way you're applying effort to the gym and turning up to the gym, you also need to apply effort to these other areas. If not, your gym ethic or work ethic will just go to waste. Because you can't get anywhere with it.
Yeah, and that's so true, that it's that work that you put in and that stuff makes you have a good training session. But then when you stack up these good training sessions, it's easy to put that work aside. And then as soon as you like your hip, now you're like, oh shit, I need to be doing more work to do that. That's right. I haven't been doing my hip flexor stretches or whatever it is. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, the body's great reminding you about what you need to be doing. Well, the best thing to do would be proactiveness and not telling your body to.
Don't have it remind you. But before we wrap up, what are some goals on your horizon at the moment? What's coming up for you?
So for me, it's really simple. It's actually just get healthy. Because I've had this 4 competitions where I've just been pushing my body back to back to back. So it's kind of like get as healthy as I can, have a good competition to round up the end of the year. Just set like maybe total something around 900 plus if possible. Not tied to a number, but if my body allows me to do it, I want to push and have a good competition, and then like just enjoy the sport, take it easy, take push when I can, and then see what the international field looks like next year, because it's a bit of a mess right now with selections and everything, and like world games, people might be moving weight classes and things like that. So no one really knows what's going on. So just focusing on the micro right now, which would be this competition at the end of the year, try and get there, be as healthy as possible. If I don't feel like I'm progressing towards being healthy by doing this competition, I drop out from it and I'll focus on something for next year. But being healthy is my priority for now.
Yeah, and focusing on that is ironically what's going to lead to your success, no doubt, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, is Sheffield's on your radar for next year?
Oh, no chance. No chance. I think the selections for that is already pretty much wrapped up.
Is it?
You needed to you needed to come first IPF Worlds or place second, or do some really impressive total within the end of the year. But Malta did not go well enough for me to be invited to Sheffield. Malta was a horrible competition.
Man, so many learnings though, I bet, right? From those like that you can apply to your next upcoming competitions. And if people were keen to follow your journey and see how much you squat and deadlift, where is the best place for them to find you?
As of now, probably just be Instagram. I need to get back on YouTube again, but it's just finding the energy to do it.
100%, man.
That's the problem.
You post super frequently on Instagram, though. I feel like you're on there most days.
I started doing it now, actually, because before I used to post like every 2 months or something, but I've been trying to do like once or twice a week. Because just to help the following count go up, and just be more accountable, because I found that like I've had tough training preps where I'm like, I remember squatting 290, and then I try and scroll through Instagram, I can't find them. Then I have to start scrolling through my phone to find. So like just posting everything on there is good. But I also want to like get into more like actual content, not just, hey, look at me squat, put something useful on there. So hopefully I can get the energy to work on that and start putting up more useful content with time.
Well, even judged on this conversation, man, you're super articulate and you've obviously got a lot of knowledge there, so I'm sure people would love to hear.
We'll see.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks so much again for coming on. I genuinely enjoyed catching up with you.
No worries. It was nice to talk with you, T.
Cheers, man.